The conversation. Call 1-877-669-1292.
And welcome to the Howie Silbiger Show right here on the True Talk Radio Network. Such a pleasure to be with you. So happy you are here with me. And this Sunday night, it is wonderful to be here. We have a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on, a lot to talk about, and I'm so happy that that joining me will be my friend and the producer of the show, and a really great guy, Sheldon Eric Freed, will be joining me. And of course, you are free to call in. Numbers to call: 1-877-669-1292. That's 1-877-669-1292. Now let's bring Sheldon on. Hi, Sheldon, and I see, Sheldon, that you are much clearer than you were before.
As to quote a Johnny Nash song, I can see clearly now. The rain is gone.
I mean, the previous weeks the camera was not so great, but now we could actually see your lovely face, and I wish you'd go back to the other camera, Sheldon.
You're a gentleman and a scholar. Thank you.
I try. All right, so
what a prince!
I know. I'm such a nice guy. We are in COVID mode, which means that we are living in COVID land, and by living in COVID land means that we have to follow COVID rules. Now we know that sometimes the rules are a little ridiculous. We know the rules are sometimes a little stupid and a little inconsistent, as they say. But at the same time, we follow them because we don't know any better, and we trust that the government has our best interest in mind. Now that said, the government has announced, all the governments in the world have announced that vaccines are starting to come out in January. What do you think of vaccines, Sheldon? Will you take the COVID vaccine?
You know what? It's interesting that you're saying that, and I know we discussed it before, and I'm worried about the count when it comes to government saying about how effective these vaccines are. Now, they were saying that there was a lot of things about it being proven and 95%, 96% proven. And you and I have actually discussed this earlier today, and we're wondering how really accurate are these numbers? Are the governments around the world putting these numbers high in order to convince most people to take the vaccine?
All right. So when I think about testing, I think about polling because it works almost the same way. So you choose who your subjects that you're testing are. You choose the amount of medication you're giving these people, and you choose to pick and choose the answers, the results of the scientific experiment. So if you are in a rush to get a vaccine out for people, then is it possible that the choices that you make might be a little less accurate than they should be when it comes to getting mass vaccinations for people, producing mass vaccinations? Could it be that because they were rushing, some of the safety protocols weren't put into place or aren't there? This is the questions that come to my mind, at least. This is what I think about when I think about of COVID vaccines that have been developed in under a year. It seems pretty quick, and it seems pretty dangerous to me, even though pharmaceutical companies are telling me it's all safe. And when's the last time you trusted a pharmaceutical company, Sheldon?
Well, the thing is, obviously, the pharmaceutical companies are there to make money. That's number one. Number two, there's a lot of political pressure on a lot of these government bodies that approve vaccinations and approve medicines. And now there's so much pressure between Canada and the United States to approve the vaccines because of the mass amount of people wanting to get the vaccine. And then you also have to weigh the pros and the cons. I mean, we'd like to think that the numbers are very high in terms of its effectiveness. And at the same time, we have to weigh the advantages and disadvantages. That if we don't get the vaccine and we do, God forbid, wind up testing positive for COVID, then we can be in really rough shape. If there's minor side effects to the vaccine, which most vaccines do have minor side effects, just like it could be just sore of where the vaccination was like in the entry point and everything like that, like very, very minor stuff that things can go away in a couple of days. But if it's major side effects, that's what we have to really analyze, and we have to analyze very carefully. Now, I spoke to earlier, Russia has a vaccine out. They're presently distributing to their population. Now, the vaccine has not been proven to the point of its effectiveness, and as well as either their body did not take the time to approve it, or their body, in terms of really questioning and really putting it through the ringer before it's actually approved for full immunization. This is the thing where Canada and the United States, which are very developed countries, have gone like through here in Health Canada and the United States, their body of testing. And the thing is that now they said about 3 or 4 of the pharmaceutical companies have come up with vaccinations that are at least 95% plus effective. So I've questioned, my brother's a doctor, I've questioned him, I spoke to him. When it came with the H1N1 virus and when it came to other things, and I also questioned about this, and my brother was saying that there's a lot of political pressure to get this vaccine approved, to get this vaccine distributed to as many people as possible. Now, with me being immune compromised to the point that I am a diabetic and I have high blood pressure and asthma and other relative problems, I may not have a choice but to get it, and I just hope to goodness that the effects will be very minor. And the thing is, I just also hope that people, once they get it, they have to go by the premise that it's going to take a while for the majority of the people to get vaccinated. And there's going to be a lot of people at the same time, Howie, that may not want to be vaccinated for whatever reason.
Well, I like I said, I'm kind of on the fence about this. This vaccination was created in much shorter time than most vaccinations in modern history. I know Brian posted a question. How long did Jonas Salk take to make the polio vaccine? I don't know what exact length that it took for him to do the polio vaccine, but I guarantee it was more than a year. It's hard to produce a vaccine, test it, do animal testing, then human testing, check its efficiency and its effect, and test its safety, all within the course of 6-8 months. It seems like an impossible challenge. So one has to wonder if you're gonna take the chance of taking this vaccine, even though the government tells you it's safe. But the government hasn't told us the truth about this at all from the beginning. When it comes to COVID, they've lied to us from the beginning. So even if it is safe and the government tells you it is safe, do you believe the government, and do you take the vaccine? That's the question. 1-877-669-1292 is the number to call. Get in on the conversation. Would you take the COVID vaccine? It's coming out in January. The first batches are coming out in January. Then they're going to roll it out for the next few months and try to vaccinate everybody. Are you willing to take the COVID vaccine? That's the question I'm asking today.
Here's the question too, and I'm just thinking. The first rollout of the vaccines will be people that are, let's say, frontline workers, healthcare workers.
Well, no, actually, they released the hierarchy of who's getting the vaccine first. First people getting the vaccine are people in old age homes, the over 80. Then it'll be people over 70. Then it'll be healthcare workers, and then everybody else.
I'm surprised healthcare workers are not number one, figuring that
they came number 3.
That's very strange, because if you're a doctor or a nurse and you come across patients all the time, not knowing if the patients are either asymptomatic or they actually have the COVID-19 and they're actually sick with COVID-19.
Right.
And they're number 3 to get, there's something wrong in that picture.
Well,
I can understand 80s and 70s and people that are in vulnerable situations, but healthcare workers.
I'm assuming it's because they feel that people who are in their 80s and 70s have a higher risk of dying from the disease than people who are healthcare workers. I mean, just
what happens in your case is you being a teacher.
Statistically, people have died because of age more than exposure at the healthcare level.
Hmm.
So if you look at
Now, what's going to
statistics,
happen in terms of teachers that come across students and come across, like, where are they in the fold, and will they be required to be immunized? And other things too, like people that are social workers, again, coming in contact with clients all the time. Are they going to be forced? Because I remember when H1N1 first came out, and I knew someone that used to be working at a youth protection center,
yeah,
and they were obliged at that time to take the H1N1 vaccine. There was no option to get out
wow,
unless it was proven that the side effects would have been fatal.
right,
There was very little recourse or very little margin for exception of them not being able to receive the vaccine for H1N1. Now, I had the vaccine. There was I forget what the percentage was. I don't know if you would remember this or not. There was a side effect of Guillain-Barré syndrome, and that side effect was very, very difficult. Like, if people ever got that, many cases they were paralyzed a long time to either be able to walk again or be able to do their motor center, their central nervous system was severely affected. Their spine was affected. That was about 10%, 8 to 10% of the total population that received that kind of side effect of the H1N1. Thank God, I did not have any side effects of
thank
the
God,
vaccine.
really, thank God.
And
But that's what I'm
I
saying.
took that vaccine, and I
The-
went to my brother and I said, "What do you think?" And he says, "Look, yeah, we have to look at it this way. Every vaccine is going to have some kind of a side effect. Some could be as minor as just in that area, that it could be a little bit of swelling and irritation, go away in a day or two, or maybe a little itchiness or whatever. Some might get a slight fever. So it's better to get that than, obviously, if God forbid, if I would have gotten the H1N1 virus." The same thing he would recommend with this thing. He knows that there's the political pressure. We all know that there's political pressure because
Right.
everybody wants to have this done. Now, the thing was, is this going to be the be all and end all situation? Is this going to be the end of pandemics as we know it, or is there going to be another one waiting in the wings? How effective
This is
would
not going
this
to end. Come
vaccination
on, this is not
be?
going to end pandemics. It's just going to end COVID, and it's not even going to end COVID. It's just going to delay COVID. So
Well,
COVID's going to be around
the,
forever.
the
So
yeah, the biggest problem is too, when COVID first was released, because my significant other and I just came back from the Caribbean, and a few days later, COVID hit.
right,
Now, the thing was, when COVID hit was March, so it was starting to get into the spring. The weather was getting milder. People were starting to go out, and then was the summer, and then people were going out for walks and everything like that, and being out more. Now, here goes the situation that we're in the second wave, and now we're just starting winter here in the Northern Hemisphere, and it's going to get colder, and people are not going to want to go out as much.
it's true. So what
Then
do you do?
there's the other thing.
So what do you do?
Exactly. This is so we're really in a quagmire, and that's why I predict the second wave is going to be. If you thought the first wave was bad, this is going to be nothing. Next situation. What about Hanukkah? What about Christmas, when families usually gather?
Okay, so it bothers me that they try to combine Hanukkah and Christmas together. They're totally separate holidays, and they're totally different holidays. And the magnitude and the reason for the holiday, and the and the overall holiness of the holiday. Let's just use the word holiness. The overall holiness of the holiday are completely different. Hanukkah is a very minor Jewish holiday. We're celebrating Jewish liberation. We're celebrating Jewish nationalism. That's the celebration of Hanukkah. And Christmas is the celebration of the birth of the Christian God. So when you put them on a scale of magnitude, the scale is leans heavily towards the birth of God compared to we were victorious over the ancient Assyrians, right? So I mean, the magnitude is different, and so the way we celebrate the holiday is different, and the way we look at the holiday is different. So the only reason Hanukkah is lumped into the same magnitude and the same that Jews care so much about Hanukkah is because of the Christmas hype. So combining the two doesn't really make sense to me. It's not logical. Christmas is Christmas. Hanukkah is Hanukkah. Good on the on the non-Jews, and they have their holiday. Good for you. Enjoy your holiday. We have our holiday too. We'll light our candles, we'll eat our latkes, we'll play our dreidels, and then we'll go to bed. So that's basically what we do. There's no real holiness to the holiday.
Because
So,
I know our family, we would get together for Hanukkah. We'd light the candles. We
right,
start singing some songs. When I was a kid,
yeah,
we were get Hanukkah gelt.
right.
That was used to be, the dreidel, the
But
latkes,
there
and
is
everything.
zero religious significance to Hanukkah,
Yeah,
where Christmas
and a
is a
lot of
religious
people that
holiday.
were not Jewish, and as I was saying this off air earlier when you and I spoke, it was almost like people would think it's another version of Christmas.
Yeah, it's not
Same
at
thing
all.
as people would think Purim is a Jewish version of Halloween.
Yeah, it's not at all either.
Exactly. So it's
Hanukkah and
amazing
Purim.
how people just lump things in, and that's
Well, because the other big holiday happening at the same time is the Christian holiday of whatever, or the pagan
yeah,
holiday of Halloween. So they
yeah.
lump into the same category. Oh, if we're celebrating Christmas and it's so special to us, then Hanukkah must be so special to the Jews.
And there was one person that went up to me and said, "Oh, by the way, our Easter and your Hanukkah, Easter and our Passover are similar." I said, "No, it's not.
Not even close.
Not even close. Like not even close."
The interesting thing to me is though that you mentioned Hanukkah, you mentioned Purim, and essentially both holidays celebrate the same thing. It's the
Yeah,
Jewish liberation, the Jews surviving and then beating the enemy,
yeah.
surviving oppression and beating the enemy. If there was another holiday made for the Holocaust, it would be in the same vein too, which there should be, in my opinion. There should be a holiday declared, a religious holiday declared, to commemorate the Holocaust.
Well, there's been talk about it all the time, but I doubt
But
very
I
much.
really think that should happen
Yeah,
because this is an event where a good quarter to half of the Jewish population was wiped out.
yeah.
This is a massacre, and we commemorate all sorts of other massacres of Jews where a lot less people were wiped out, less Jews were wiped out. So in this case here, I mean, this was a mass murder of Jews. It should be commemorated,
I agree
and
with you.
and
Yeah.
I think it should be commemorated religiously. We should remember it religiously. Uh, I know what the religious objection is that there was a vast majority of people who were killed during the Holocaust that weren't religious Jews. So there's a religious conflict there, but really, I really think the rabbi should impose a holiday on the Jewish people, either a fast day or something, just to commemorate the death of over 6 million Jews. I mean,
Do you ever
it's a lot of
do you
people.
ever foresee that ever happening?
No, but it's a lot of people, and it should be
Yeah,
commemorated.
I agree with you. I
Eh,
agree with
you
you.
know,
And getting back to the
we
vaccine
fast we
also, and
fast
I
for
was
a
just
lot we fast for a lot less. Anyway, get back
yeah,
to the vaccine. Yeah.
yeah, getting back to the vaccine, and as I was also saying that there's a lot of countries that are not as, let's say, progressive as Canada, United States, and Israel, and then what's going to happen with them in terms of the vaccination? Also,
What do
there's
you mean by
like
progressive?
Bangladesh and India
But
and
what do you
God
mean
knows what.
what do you mean by progressive? I don't understand what you mean.
Well, in other words, very advanced countries, very
Okay.
advanced in terms of the medical technologies and screening and that kind of stuff, where other countries are not on the same level.
Right.
And that's another thing. What the world people in the world are going to have to contend with. That even if we were to get vaccinated tomorrow, until most of the people, when the vaccines are available, and if they're able to get it. Uh, Again, it could take God knows how long until at least the problem is somewhat not as bad. Will it be completely related? Like, I agree with you, it won't happen. But at least will we have a fighting chance to at least try to get back to normal, which we all want to happen. We would all like to get back to normal and you know
Yeah, but
go
define
for a Passover Seder's
what is normal?
and
Look, normal is what you get used to doing. So here we are used to doing all this garbage that we do for COVID. It was a pain in the butt to put on a mask, but now everyone kind of does it second nature. It was a pain to wash your
well, now
hands.
people were calling it the new normal, right?
I mean, I don't like the term "new normal" because
I hate it also.
it's
Yeah,
not new
yeah,
normal. This is normal. This is what normal is at the moment. Normal changes as
yeah,
society progresses. Normal changes. At one time, it was normal to take virgins and throw them into the volcano. Today, it's not normal to do that, right? So it's not the new normal; it's just the current normal.
So the thing is, I mean, we hope that things will relax. I mean, look, here was another situation too in Canada, and I'm sure it's like that in a lot of other places where people are going from the very cold to the warm sun belts.
Yeah.
But here, there was a new thing that transport companies are getting in on the act, because you could still fly from United States into Canada or Canada and the United States. You could fly pretty much anywhere, most places, except for United Kingdom and Australia, because now they curtailed people from North America now because of the high rates of COVID. But what they now decided to do for people who want to go to Florida, we call them the snowbirds here in this neck of the woods. What they're now doing is, especially the people that go down for like most of this, like 4 to 6 months during the winter.
Yeah.
They're now getting a service whereby they're flying out of one of our local airports here, not even our major airport, a 15-minute flight to just over the border into Plattsburgh, New York. By the time they get off the plane, their car will be transported by a transport company, which will not be held in customs because it's considered an essential service.
Right.
So people are flying down to Plattsburgh, which is a 15-minute flight from here, picking up their car and driving south to Florida for the 6 months.
Wow.
So they got a heck of a loophole. These transport companies are making money hand over
Look,
fist.
the transport companies have been shipping cars to Florida for years.
Yeah.
Christmas time.
But
winter
now,
time, sorry. Now, there was also I heard another one that there were a bunch of rich ladies from rich areas of certain cities, and what they were doing was they were chartering planes, private planes, and they were paying $5,000 a head to fly on a chartered plane. Each one of them went out and got a COVID test before they went, and they had to come and bring proof that they didn't have COVID to get onto this plane. So the plane was a secured plane with COVID clearance, right? Because they brought their things, and they were flying to Florida for $5,000 a head.
Good heavens!
Which to me seems insane. I mean, that's kind of crazy.
And here's the thing too. Now more insurance companies are starting to insure against COVID, except there's one major problem, which people are not realizing.
Yeah.
If you go to the States, or if you go to Mexico, or anywhere that Canadians go, let's say from this, or people in the northern part of the United States, and they go, they got to figure out that how crowded these hospitals must be.
Yeah, seriously.
And they're having enough problems trying to take care of their own, never mind taking care of foreigners.
Okay, so talk about COVID insurance, right? People get insurance to go, travel insurance, health insurance.
Yeah, exactly.
COVID insurance. So all the health companies were advertising, we cover COVID. So if you get COVID while you're away, we cover COVID. But you have to read the small print, because there's always the small print, Sheldon. Always the small print.
Especially when it comes to insurance companies, you
yeah.
bet your sweet bippy there's a small print.
So the small print on the insurance, yeah, we cover COVID, right? But we don't cover COVID hospitalizations. So if you have COVID and you have to go buy medication, or you have COVID and you get a prescription from your doctor for some kind of drug, we'll cover the drug. But if you have to be hospitalized, you're on your own. And that's 90% of the insurance companies. You have to really read the small print when it comes to we cover COVID.
Well, they'll also say that they'll fly you home, but they will not put you in a local hospital. They'll fly you back home.
Exactly. So a local hospital, like if you go to a hospital in Florida and you have to stay overnight, it's $10,000 a night easily.
Oh, yeah.
Easily. So, so if you get put on a respirator and you have to stay at home, in the hospital, I mean, and you need X-rays and MRIs and you need a nurse to check on you every 3 hours. You know what you're paying for this.
Oh, you even pay for an aspirin. You pay for a catheter. You pay for an IV.
Yeah, so
you pay for everything. Everything's itemized, like as if you were going into Costco. If you were going into Walmart, everything's itemized.
So if your insurance company's not covering the hospital stay, they'll cover your travel back. They'll cover whatever medications you have to take, but they're not cover your hospital stay. How much is it going to cost you to go to the hospital if you come down with COVID?
Yeah.
It'll bankrupt you.
Yeah, exactly.
And so those people, there are some poor people who took out insurance and didn't read the small print. And if you don't read the small print, you get screwed, as they say.
Oh yeah.
So
And I remember when I was looking in possibly going back to Aruba this winter, and we changed our minds very drastically because number one, that country, they you were required before you even get on the plane, you have to have a COVID test, whether or not you're negative or whatever. You have to have a test. If you're positive, forget it. You won't even be able to get on the plane. Never mind getting into the country.
wow.
Oh yeah, they're very, very strict. If you're negative, great, but if you get, and you could also get a test when you get down there. In other words, you don't have to opt for the test here, but if you get a test
if
there,
if you don't get a test here, do they let you on the plane?
yeah. But the thing is, they won't let you in at the airport. Like in other words, you get tested at the airport. You don't go anywhere past that airport. So you get into a certain area of the airport. You get tested. If you're negative, they release you. Fine and dandy. Have a good time.
Right.
If you're negative, they quarantine you in a hotel for 2 weeks. So if you're going down for a week, goodbye vacation, because you ain't going to see the beach. You're not going to see the pool. You'll be lucky if you see the balcony.
But you get a nice hotel stay.
You get a nice hotel stay. Well, you get you get a nice hotel stay.
Yeah.
So, so that's another.
So
that's
Sheldon,
another
for a guy like me who doesn't go to the beach, I don't care much for the beach, right? And I don't mind staying in the hotel room when I'm on vacation. I have a lot of stuff to do. I'll bring my laptop with me. I'll be working the entire time, because that's what I do on my vacations. So this is a free vacation, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I know I have COVID, I could get on a plane, go there, and kind of get a free accommodation in some other country that's nice and warm instead of
if you're tested positive. Yeah, if you're going and you're booking,
yeah,
you're paying for the hotel, you're paying for your all inclusive, whatever.
Right.
But if you're still going to be paying for your hotel, whether or not you occupied for that week or 2 weeks or not.
True.
But you would be in. You probably won't even be near seaside. You'll probably be somewhere interior.
Yeah.
In the capital area,
but
and you're pretty much.
To you.
Yeah. So that's.
Do they feed you?
I don't know. Plus, also, you have to take a special COVID insurance in Aruba, which you have to pay every day. So if you go down for a week, I forget how much it is a day.
Yeah.
So and
they really figured out how to charge you for this, how to make money off COVID, huh?
Well, yeah, so, because they've been very, very. Because when we left about a month or 2 months later, that island got infected. They had about 100 cases on an island. Now, this is an island that depends on passenger ships. You would see these big, huge cruise ships that make the Love Boat look like a nothing, and they look like 3-story hotels. And all food, everything is by boat. Everything's by boat. They cannot grow fruit locally there because of its dry climate. It's basically like Arizona or Nevada, and it's desert type of climate there. So everything gets shipped by boat.
Right.
So you know what you're talking about: people picking the fruit, putting it on a ship, people handling it from port. You know that somebody's going to have COVID. You know that there's going to be a problem. So they had to close off the ships at one point. It was devastating for that particular island. And my partner and I said, no, we're not going anywhere this winter. We're staying home. That's it. And
I don't blame you.
Yeah. And like we both said, no, this is a no-brainer. I'm not going to take a chance. Even if I were to get COVID insurance, no, I don't want, because if I'm stuck in a hospital, if I'm lucky to be God forbid I'm in a hospital, they may not even have room for me. So what am I going to do?
Right. Seriously.
So I figured, you know what? At least I'm home. At least I have Medicare, healthcare, and at least I'm in my own place. And that's basically what. But there's still a lot of people. There's about 30% of the Canadian Snowbirds Association that are planning to go south. And I'm wondering, what are you guys thinking? Nobody likes the cold.
Especially since you know that Florida is a hotbed for COVID. So they've been a hotbed for months and months and months already. So it's not a
And even
secret.
the whole United States is a disaster.
Yeah, but it's no secret that Florida, especially, is a disaster.
Exactly.
And
So
so,
people are going to find out, and they say, well, we're going to still stay close to home and whatever. But eventually people are going to have to go shopping for food.
yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if they and who knows if they were having the same problem we were in terms of online shopping. Well, if we had problems at one point when COVID hit the first time, what do you think is going to happen there in the States? It's going to be even worse than it is here.
Well, there's more population for sure.
Yeah, more population and more people got inflicted in Florida. Like you said, it's a hotbed for COVID.
Right.
So more people got inflicted in Florida, and the next thing you know, they'll have trouble getting food. So they're going to have to go out and they're going to risk exposing themselves. So where is the whole, and again, like you said, hospitals are not cheap if you're even lucky to get in one. And I'm saying the term lucky very figuratively here because nobody wants to go into a hospital in the first place. But if in many cases they won't have room for you. So what are you going to do? You're going to wind up going back home anyway.
And when you go home, there's no guarantee the hospital has space for you there either.
No. Plus, you're going to have to quarantine yourself for 2 weeks, regardless.
Right.
So where is the advantage? I don't see where the advantage is. And I know people say, oh, it's cold in Canada. I know it's cold in Canada, but I'd rather be cold in Canada and safe than
Dead
be
in
cold,
Florida. Than
cold
dead
in
in
Canada,
Florida,
go to
for
the
sure.
States and then get infected.
I'd rather be cold in Canada and dead in Florida. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So, Sheldon, so I take it that you're not planning on going anywhere for the near
No.
future.
No. As a matter of fact, my
look,
brother,
were
he's
you
not
even-
going.
were
He's
you
not
even
going anywhere.
Let me ask you: were you even considering going somewhere? Because I mean,
No.
you were talking last week about or 2 weeks ago about you don't even leave your home very often. So
No. Yeah.
So were you
like I
even-
very rarely leave my home.
were you even thinking of going anywhere? I mean, why would you do that? I mean,
No,
why would
well,
you
that's the
would you
whole
even
thing.
Consider it?
I mean, I very, very rarely. I mean, I live close to one of the major grocery stores. If I've been in that store 2 or 3 times during COVID,
Yeah.
that was a lot because I usually order online.
Right.
So I order online. I get my prescriptions delivered every month. I get my food delivered every month. I get kosher meals delivered to me every month.
Yeah.
And I basically don't leave my house except for to take a walk if it's a nice day outside. And that's pretty much the extent of it. And when my partner and I get together, she took me for a haircut in the local mall. We both got haircuts, and then she took me back home, and then that was it. I think we went one time grocery shopping. We went in and out. We were in and out in 20 minutes.
Do you find it pleasant to go grocery shopping these days? I used to love grocery shopping, but I'm finding it more and more unpleasant to shop for groceries.
Well, the thing is, I
because
never
I'm-
liked
not be-
shopping, period.
Not because I'm scared of COVID. Not
Yeah.
at all. Because I think people have gone crazy.
Well, the thing is, too, you get people that are, a lot of them are conspiracy theorists. And I remember going to the local mall, and there was this person, I'll tell you the name of the store off air.
Yeah.
I go into the store, and there was a person sanitizing the cart. Like I saw they were sanitizing the cart. There was the hand sanitizer, the soap, and everything, the whole Megillah. So, okay, I washed the hands, no problem. They said, bonjour, hello. They gave me the cart. I walked into the store. I see one other person before that pushed in front of me, didn't wash their hands at all, sneezed, didn't bother anything, sneezed on a cart and took the cart with her. The guy couldn't even, was trying to catch up to clean the cart.
Yeah.
She didn't care.
Okay, so I the cleaning of the carts is a little weird because the scientists are saying that COVID's not passed on through touch, and not through surface, doesn't live on surfaces. So that's a little strange to me. A lot of the rules are very strange. Rob just said in the chat room on the live stream on Facebook, he typed in the rules for the virus are all over the place. If they made more sense, maybe there would be less cases. And I agree with Rob. I think he's right.
I think so.
If there were proper rules and the rules made any semblance of sense, then maybe people would follow them a little closer than they're following them now. Look, I go into a grocery store, and they force me to sanitize my hands before I go into the store. What is the purpose of that? I haven't figured that out yet, but they force me to sanitize my hands. So I do it. What do I care, right? So a little bit of hand sanitizer is not going to kill anybody. It's not like I'm going to 100 different stores. So if I go into a store, I sanitize my hands. Who cares? But it doesn't mean anything. There's no reason to do it. It's just a stupid procedure that they put into place, the government put into place, for no reason. It doesn't affect anything. It doesn't change anything. They sanitize the shopping cart, but they only sanitize the handle of the shopping cart. So what if I pull the shopping cart from the back end of the shopping cart? I mean, the whole sanitization of the shopping cart is kind of pointless, right? And then I'm putting my food inside the shopping cart, which is not sanitized. So, if COVID is passed by touch, then shouldn't my food inside the shopping cart be contaminated because they never clean the insides of the shopping carts? Maybe my hands are nice and clean because I've already sanitized them. I put hand sanitizer on my hands, and they sanitized the shopping cart, the handle of the shopping cart, which I think they should have done like way before COVID. I think that should have been.
Oh, I know they should have done
that
way
should have
before
been
COVID.
standard. Okay, but anyway, putting that aside, here we are. I'm putting my food inside the shopping cart. So if COVID is passed through touch, my food is now contaminated. If I'm touching food on the counter and COVID's passed through touch, my hands are contaminated again, even though I sanitized them. So it's all baloney. It's all placebo.
You know how many people I know, Howie, that will take their food, like let's say they put the food in that shopping cart, like you said.
Yeah.
They bring the food home.
Yeah.
You know how many people I know that wash down the boxes that the food came
That's
into,
ridiculous.
let's say, or the packages or whatever.
It's
When
ridiculous.
people get stuff from Amazon, they wash down the package, whatever, and they said the same. Get it off a package.
You can't get it off.
You don't get it off a package. And by the time the package is shipped to you anyway, if the virus was on it anyway, it'll be gone by the time you receive it.
But here's the crazy
It
thing,
doesn't-
Sheldon. Here's the crazy thing. The craziest part of this whole thing. I'm a school teacher. I teach. I teach high school. And I walk into a classroom, 3 classrooms, 4 classrooms, 5 classrooms a day, right? Each classroom has, somewhere around 20 kids. All right, so do the math, Sheldon. Right? 5 classrooms at 20 kids is how many kids, Sheldon?
100, yeah.
That's
okay.
100 kids, right? Those 100 kids are connected to 100 different families, right?
Yep.
So I'm exposed to 100 different families a day. Then I leave the school and I go to the local store and they don't let me in because they only allow 3 people into the store. Tell me this makes any sense. It's okay for me to go stand in front of 100 kids a day in different classes and be exposed to 100 different people a day, but I can't go into a store because there's more than 3 people in the store.
Well, that's the thing with the government.
It's
When the
just
government
not
opened up the
logical. It
schools,
doesn't make any sense.
when the government opened up the schools and insisted the schools be open, they never thought about that. They never thought about the fact that yes, you're going to teach 100 or so many. My significant other has 30 people in a class.
Yeah,
She teaches 6 levels,
right.
6 different groups.
Yeah.
So, like you would say, do the math.
Almost
It's 180
180
people.
people, almost 200 people. Yeah.
Plus, she supervises kids, and sometimes she has an emergency substitution when there's over and above other amount of kids. So she could be up to 240, almost 260 kids,
It's crazy.
students.
But she can't go
Okay,
into
but the schools could remain open.
but she can't go into a supermarket if there's more than 30
But
people
you
in
can't
there.
go into a supermarket. Yeah, and they were making laws very tough here. Now I know there was other parts of Canada. There's parts of the United States. At one point, New York was shutting down their school system, but I think they're restarting their school system or going to be online or something like that. The thing is too that a lot of people were being used as guinea pigs, and
You know what
that
it is,
I have
Sheldon?
a
I figured it out. I thought about it for a long time. I figured it out. It is that COVID is a very smart disease. Okay? So COVID recognizes when you are protesting for Black Lives Matters. COVID recognizes when you are celebrating the democratic election of a president. Because those COVID doesn't spread in those. Those aren't super spreader events, right? COVID recognizes when you're at Walmart and the shoe store and in the shoe department at Walmart, but Joe's Shoes on de Maisonneuve is closed because you might get COVID, right? So COVID understands this and won't attack you at Walmart. Thank you, Rob, for that example. I appreciate it.
excellent, Rob. Excellent.
COVID understands all this, right? Because COVID is a very, very smart disease. COVID
Very smart.
understands that it's okay for you to go and 250 people to go to a movie theater, but you can't sit 3 people in a restaurant because COVID's going to come and get you in the restaurant. But 250 people can sit in a movie theater, no problem. It's okay, for 1,000 people to be crammed into a Costco and all standing in line 3 feet away, a foot away from each other at Costco. But gosh darn it, if I want to go get a slice of pizza and I want to sit down and eat my slice of pizza by myself at a table, nope, can't do that. Sorry, COVID is waiting for me in the pizza parlor. So tell me, any of these rules make any sense? I mean, none of them make sense. It is stupidity.
None of them make sense.
It is. You know what it is?
It was basically they were inventing rules as things were going.
In
all
my
the time.
mind, Sheldon, in my mind, this is nothing more than a power grab by the government, who feels that they have us under their thumbs. They can make us do everything we want. They're power hungry, and they are trying to control their population, control the way we live. Because they are power hungry people who love the feeling of being God. I could tell you what.
Let me ask you a question. But why now? Number one, why now? And is there any truth at all? I'm not saying there's 100% truth.
Grab the opportunity. Reach for the golden ring, Sheldon.
But is there any truth at all that people have been sick and people have died because of COVID?
Of course.
So it's not 100% the conspiracy theory.
But you have a disease.
But I know the government has
You have a disease that has a 99.94% chance of survival if you are a healthy person. 96% of society, 95% of society are healthy people. Caging 95.
There were a lot of people that were. One point, there was this one person in Florida that was a student and was
one person, but he probably had some underlying disease. Sheldon.
Well, apparently they said that he didn't, and he got very, very sick from it. I don't know if he passed away, but he got very, very, very sick.
There's always exceptions to the rules, Sheldon. Always exceptions to the rules.
Right? Is there?
So do you lock down? Do you lock down all of society for the sake of 10% of society? You lock down 90% of people.
Of course, I don't agree for the society to be locked out, Howie. But where do we draw the line? Like, these are questions I ask myself all the time. Where do people draw the line? If you are healthy, yes, you stand a good chance to fight the virus. But there was even some talk again, and I take it with a grain of salt because I don't know what to believe in anymore. Is that, let's say you got hit by the virus, you fight it off, and some people were saying that that same person will be hit again by the same virus for whatever reason. Their immune system for fighting off the first stage was weakened. And the second time they got it, they were really sick. So again, it's one thing when you're healthy, you first get it. And if you don't get it again, you rebuild your antibodies, you rebuild your immune system. But what happens if you get it again?
Shouldn't we be spending our resources protecting the 6% of society that is susceptible to this virus that will get seriously ill? Shouldn't we spend our resources?
Well, that's the problem. What they had now, it went into the seniors' homes.
But we're not doing that, Sheldon.
North America.
But we're not doing that, Sheldon. What we're doing is
I know we're not doing that, and people died. There were people.
We're locking down
people in other provinces throughout Canada, people in the States,
and destroying.
There was a lot of people in the seniors' homes because they thought that everything was gung ho and whatever, and people wound up getting sick and they died. Employees there got sick and died.
Sheldon, we are locking down businesses, destroying families, destroying businesses, destroying people's lives' works for nothing, Sheldon. It doesn't help. It's not effective. If lockdowns were effective, Sheldon, then in March, after we were locked down for a month in March, a full month, maybe 2 months. Was it 2 months? I think it was even 2 months.
2 months.
That we were locked down, this virus should have died. There was nobody going to work. There was nobody going to school. There was nobody doing anything. Lockdowns are ineffective.
Well, the thing was, too, when they opened up the schools.
But lockdowns are ineffective. It shouldn't have happened. Nothing should have happened when they opened the schools. The virus should have died when everybody was locked in their homes. The virus has a 14-day incubation period. If you got it 14 days later, you have the symptoms, then you're no longer contagious, and then it goes away. So if we were locked down for 2 months, that's how many days, Sheldon? 60? If we were locked down for 60 days, that virus should have died. Lockdowns don't work. They're not effective.
So what do you do?
What do you
Do
do?
people?
You
Then we go
protect.
back again. Do
You
people? If the
protect.
vaccines were to come out,
You protect
will
the
people take the
vulnerable.
vaccine?
You protect the vulnerable, and let people make decisions on their health. Simple as that.
Well, they're going to
We
make decisions on
You're
their
not
health
making
because the
decisions.
vaccine is not going to be compulsory.
I'm not making a decision on my health. What I am doing is I am being forced to not go to a store, not go to a restaurant, not go to a movie theater, not have anything to do but sit in my home. I'm being forced. The government is forcing this down my throat. They're not giving me the choice. If I own a gym, I do not have the choice to open my gym. If I'm a gym member, I do not have the choice to go to the gym. If I want to take the chance of going to the gym and working out and say, okay, I understand the risks. I get it. The virus is out there. I understand the risk. I'm an adult. I can make a sound choice for my own health. And if I want to make that choice to go to the gym, why can't I do that, Sheldon?
Howie, it's all a matter of one thing.
Yeah.
Money, healthcare, and
So it's all about the hospitals.
That's what the government is doing
all
because
about
the
the hospitals,
government
right?
doesn't want the hospitals.
Yeah.
That's exactly why.
If the government funded the hospitals properly to start with,
Amen.
they
Thank
wouldn't
you.
have to worry about COVID or anything else.
Yeah, our local government spent $5 million enforcing a language policy instead of $5 million for schools, healthcare, and other things.
Let me ask you this question. The casino, which is open and closed these days, but the Casino of Montreal makes a profit. Casino of Montreal, casino everywhere, actually. They make profits in the billions of dollars a year.
Absolutely.
Billions
and
and
the
billions
casinos
of dollars.
here are owned by the government. In Canada, they're owned by
the government.
Yeah.
So, the billions of dollars, where does that money go? What do they do with that money? Why is that money going? Why isn't that money going into healthcare? Why isn't that money going into schooling? Why is that money going into making sure that there's no asbestos in the walls of our elementary schools? They're ripping down a school right next to my house now because there's asbestos in the walls. They're ripping the whole place down. They're rebuilding the school. Why are they doing that? Where is the money going? This is not correct. Everything should be opened up. People should not be losing their livelihoods. They shouldn't be losing their businesses, their livelihoods. The depression and the mental illness that's coming out of this is uncharted. And this should not be happening. This is totally unacceptable.
I know, and I agree with you 100%. And I really only hope that something soon is going to come, get back, that people could actually get back to their businesses. There's so many businesses that we both know locally and internationally that have closed down their doors for good because they lost their shirts. They lost everything.
It's not right.
As a matter of fact, I was reading an article in the New York Times today about the transit systems throughout the United States in the major cities. New York, they lost $60.5 billion, counted billion dollars.
Okay, but that's public transport, so the government, we pay for that anyway. The government pays for that. The money's there. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about John Smith, who worked for the last 50 years to build up his little restaurant. And finally he's making a living after 50 years of struggling. He's finally making a good living and then suddenly has to shut down for a year.
I know. It's not right. It's absolutely not right. So what do we do?
You reopen everything.
The question is, what do we do?
Reopen everything. Allow people to go back to work. Allow people to open their businesses. That's what we do. If you think that older people are more susceptible to this, or sick people are more susceptible to this, start an advertising campaign telling old people and sick people to stay away from these businesses. Order online. There's plenty of other ways to get your stuff. You don't have to go to these businesses. But for healthy people who have a 99.94% chance of surviving this virus, there is absolutely no reason why they can't be going to work, why they can't be going to restaurants, why they can't be living life.
Well, what about the people that, let's say, that are going to work, but they're now working online instead of going into physical offices? A lot of people now are working online. In many cases, teachers are working online. In many cases, teachers alternate between going online and going.
There is no reason for that. Teachers should be in school with their students. There are very, 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 and I'll use very a few more times. There are very, 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 very few cases, almost no cases of students transmitting the disease to their teacher. Almost zero cases of in-school transmissions when it comes to students to teachers. When we talk about transmissions in schools, and you talk about kids with COVID in schools, you're talking about, if you take a look at the statistics right across North America, you're talking about one case or two cases. You know when they call it a COVID emergency in a school, You know how many cases there has to be? 3 cases in the school. So if you have 2,700 kids, like some schools do, or 1,400 kids in the school, if there are 3 cases, it's considered a COVID emergency. 3 cases. You know, when they say that that a state or a province has 1,000 cases a day, you know, when you think about how many people live in that state or province, right? So, you know, let's look at Quebec because we're based in Montreal. So we'll take a look at Quebec. If you take a look at Quebec and they say there's 1,000 cases a day in the province of Quebec, that doesn't mean Montreal. That doesn't mean Quebec City. That means in the entire province. 10 million people live in the entire province of Quebec. What is the statistical probability that if 1,000 people in Quebec have COVID, what is the statistical probability that you are going to catch it from anybody near you? Almost none.
Let me ask you this question. If the vaccine would be available tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. My question would go out to people. Would you wind up taking it thinking that if you do take it, things, you know, you'd be able to get out more, be able to go back, let's say the physical offices, be able to do this and be able to do that. What do you think? Like, do you think that this will be the so-called answer to many people that once the vaccine, because a lot of people, let's face it, for whatever reason, are scared, you know what? So if the vaccine is available.
Well, you know why they're scared? There's only one reason they're scared. It's because the media built it up to scare them.
Well, tell me something I don't know.
Now, the media did that because they wanted.
Except for our media.
The media builds it up because they want more eyeballs and they want more people buying their magazines and their newspapers. So they build up the fear so people buy it. So what's next? What's next?
Exactly. But I'm saying, so let's say if the vaccine were to come out.
Yeah.
Would you take it? No. Would you yourself take it?
No.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't take it until I knew it was safe.
Okay, no, but I'm saying if you know it's safe, I mean, obviously, it's been proven.
I'm not anti-vaxxer. I believe in vaccines. I believe vaccines work. I'm not anti-vaccine at all. So let me just make that clear so nobody misquotes me because they love to do that. I am not anti-vaccine at all.
You love to be misquoted?
No, I don't.
Howie never gets misquoted.
I don't love to be misquoted. I am saying people misquote me. So let me be extremely clear. I'm not anti-vaccine. But what I am saying is that these vaccines were created too quickly. And since they were created too quickly, the safety protocols that are usually done when they test these kind of drugs probably weren't done as properly as they should have been. And so
let me ask you a question. Another question.
In that case, I'll wait for other people to take it, and we'll see how that goes.
Let me ask you: do you find now protocols years ago and protocols now, in terms of medical technology and the way they're able to screen vaccines and medications and everything like that? Is it better now? Is it much faster now than it was before? Or do you find everything is all political pressure?
It's all politics. It's all politics. It can't be faster. You have to do animal trials. You have to check the safety on animals. Then you do human trials. And you have to check the safety on humans. That takes time. It all takes time. And sometimes, sometimes the trials don't work and you have to go and redo the trials.
Well, that's what happened before when they first started doing it. It didn't work in the States, and I think at one time didn't work in Canada, so they scrapped it and they started again.
Sometimes the safeties have to be checked and double checked and triple checked. So no, I don't think they put enough time into this. They were trying to do what do you call it in the States? The Operation Warp Speed. I'd be okay with warp speed. If you're building a building, right, and you're following, building protocols, the protocols to build a building, the building, the engineering protocols. If you build a building, I'd be okay with warp speed. You're making a drug that I'm going to inject into my body. Don't warp speed that. Make sure it's safe. Make sure it's effective.
Yep.
That's the way I look at it.
That's my concern too, is about how safe are these drugs going to be, and what's the side effects going to wind up being because they are going so fast.
Another suggestion we got just on Facebook is free mental health services for everyone. Where the money comes from, I don't know. Yeah, that's also a great idea. Take some of those billions of dollars that you make in the casinos and start putting into mental health care for people, especially now. People have been alone. People have been isolated in their homes for months and months, almost a year now. They're going to need mental health care. Not
one day during the year when one media company goes, "Let's talk."
Yeah, no,
this is a 365 day, 366 day a year problem, and especially now.
They don't tell us the statistics on how many people have committed suicide since the beginning of COVID.
I could only imagine how many
I
people
I
might
have
commit
heard
suicide.
many stories, unfortunately,
Yeah.
of people who have taken their own lives because they've been stuck in their homes. People email me stories. People tell me stories about their family members who have taken their lives because they have been stuck in their homes during quarantine periods during COVID.
There was an
And
elderly woman,
it's
as a matter of
terrible.
fact. I don't know where this woman was located, and it was in the news. I think it was in Canada. There was an elderly woman that was in her 80s,
Yeah.
never had a health problem. Everything was fine, very close to her family and everything. And then her family couldn't see her anymore.
Yeah.
And she was so lonely, she couldn't take it anymore, and she wound up killing herself. She got mentally depressed.
So
She
terrible.
applied to have doctor-assisted suicide. And because she was in such a depression, and the doctor said there was no way she was going to get better, that apparently she was given the green light to have doctor-assisted suicide. And before that, she never had any physical or mental problems. You know, many people
So terrible.
fit in this category now, and it's sad.
It's sad,
Very
it's scary, and it's terrible, Sheldon.
Yeah,
shouldn't
it's
happen.
horrible. It's just absolutely horrible. Now, is this going to be the light at the end of the tunnel, this vaccine?
Well,
God only knows. Is it going to be a start? I
we'll
don't
have to
know,
see.
but really, this is, we're all very, very scared. And you and I have talked about it, and we've mentioned our concerns to each other about how scary this whole thing is. And who knows what's going to happen. And we only hope that we will be able to get back to the lives we once led.
God willing. Sheldon, we're all out of time. So I want to thank you for being on tonight. I appreciate it. I want to thank
Always a
you.
pleasure.
I want to thank you all for listening, and I hope that you'll join me again on Tuesday for another episode of the Howie Silbiger Show, and then at midnight on Tuesday for Political Hitman. Keep your eyes on TrueTalkRadio.com and the TrueTalkRadio.com. True Talk Radio. The TrueTalkRadio.com website and the
Why
Howie.
is it at the end of
I
each
don't
show
know, I
you
keep
have
doing
trouble
this.
with words?
I don't know. I keep doing this. The TrueTalkRadio.com website, and like us on Facebook, because that's where you get all the information about whether we're going to be on or off, and when we're coming on and how we're doing things. So till next time, I bid you and yours a very happy and good day, whatever that means. And Sheldon's laughing at me. I know it. I bid you a great day, and I hope that you'll join me on Tuesday. Until then,
Great day, great evening.
great evening, great day. Have a nice one. Have a good one. Goodbye, everyone.
Take care.